interesting because I sort of at a point in my life where, I don't know if you find this, but every few years you're kind of, what was the goal at one point quickly becomes the norm, and then you're onto something else, and then it's the sort of reassess of like what my purpose is around, or the why as to doing this thing, and I'm chasing it for one reason, then it's for something else, and I'm at that sort of point where I'd love to sort of step away and on one hand and do a little sort of soul searching and dig a little deeper and sort of get a little more solitude and time for yourself, but I think, what would that look like? It's like,
right. There's the idea that's romantic that feels like,
it's not quite.
But then the reality, it's hard to like say, well, would I be okay in that footing?
Yeah, like I'm not going backpacking at 42, and not that I'm. I've got 3 kids, and then that's not my kind of.
Yeah, your backpack would be full.
Yeah, it'd be full of all 3 of them. Every time you solve one problem, life has a way of presenting another challenge, and not even a problem. It's like in order to be able to evolve and growth, the adversity that shifted your way, and I think that's the sort of the misconception, I suppose, is the assuming that this, that, and the other I'll be void of those problems.
It'll solve it all.
And so what comes with huge benefit, in being like your recognizable personality and so on, and fame and all that is incredible. And it comes with its own things, as does in any industry. I remember talking to my mum about this years ago. She was a high school teacher, and I was like, man, it's really tricky at work. I got the cast and the producer and then does the film work and this. And she said, I could kind of, line those things up parallel to my experience, and the students might be my audience, and the principals, the producer, and so on. And it's like, that's life, that's the experience. And I think I've gotten much better at sort of not, egoically thinking that my experience is somehow separate, different, or unique. It's like whatever industry, whatever demographic, wherever you're born, you kind of, life has a way of throwing you the same sort of options, I guess, to appreciate things in its truest form, rather than sort of, goal seeking or accumulating or whatever.
Yeah, the game doesn't really change. It's like, you don't think of like, oh, these problems are different. It's just like, okay, now there's new things, and that's just life. There's not really I don't think that popularity or celebrity is an escape from
no. And I think if you've
the truth of things, if you're realistic,
yeah, for sure. And there's certainly there's a sort of you see countless times again and again the sort of I guess the not even the purity, but the sort of the motivation behind pursuing something, if it is for the assumption of it solving all the problems, like get ready for a rude awakening, and it's like, oh shit, that didn't answer all the questions I had, or it did momentarily, and then there's a new set the next morning, and so kind of surrendering to that has been, I think that's I'd say the gift in I think experience any form of fame or sort of celebrity or whatever, is that you get to kind of see behind the curtain, and you get to have that realization that from afar, most people are always going to be living with the assumption that it might bring you
way better behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you get behind the curtain, you're like, oh,
I'm on the other side again. You're back to I'm back in line.
Yeah. You open the curtain, you realize it's just a mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah.
Was there kind of a point where you started to like, I think it's interesting what you said about, you get to certain moments and you kind of like, you're like, okay, what's going on now? It's kind of like you're in life. A lot of times it does feel like that. And recently I think it's been like that for me, where it's like, I feel like you're underwater for a long time, and not in a bad way or anything. You're in the mix of life and you're doing things. And then you get to a point, you're like, okay, let me come up and see what's going on. And what goals did I set, and where am I now? And then where do I want to be next? Or what things are important to me now? Or like how what strokes do I want to use next in my life to get me to where I want to be at the next checkpoint, sort of.
For sure. Yeah. And I feel
has it been like kind of a recent thing that's been going on? Or
Definitely. Yeah. I read this book called The Middle Passage, which is a gentler term for a midlife crisis.
Dude, yes.
It's like James Hollis, and it's Jungian psychology, and it's beautiful because it talks about this sort of personification of self and this the gathering of our identity as children, and due to our, family bonds and ties, societal expectations. It could be religious, community, whatever. And you go through life attempting to present what you think the world wants from you. Some of it you may have some input in as far as what you want, but a lot of it is kind of an assembling to fit in. And then you get to this certain point, usually around your 30s, 40s, where that mask, that personification starts to wear thin and doesn't hold up. And there's this inner protest, and Jung talks about from the soul, the psyche rises up and says, there's a deeper truth here and a meaning, and what is it, and what is my contribution? And it usually comes around like when or people find themselves in a place of servitude to something outside of themselves, and it's like you service yourself for so long, and as a sort of survival, and to maintain a position in the workforce and so on, and then all of a sudden it's like there's something deeper that I haven't answered, and I find and your purpose even shifts around like the why for doing things, like it might purely be, I was saying this before, but the sort of purity around your motivations, and what is your heart saying, what is your passion? That's all very well, but you got to pay the bills, and so to be sort of financially motivated for a period of your life and to take care of folks and family and so on, one thing, and then okay, that's sort of now
that's in a safe place.
That's in a safe place, and what's the next thing, and it's. I think if you're lucky enough to find that thing that speaks to you on a sort of a deeper level, but also allows you to function and operate in the world and be sort of financially secure, then great. But I sort of find myself bouncing around with those questions a lot more than I ever have, and a lot more sort of indecision, and a lot more. I had this sort of not naive but pretty strong sort of relentless your confidence and pursuit when everything I was doing, and it was when things were as far out of reach as possible.
Dude, same. That's what I had.
All of a sudden you sort of arrive and you have these things that were going to bring you all of that fulfillment, and they do momentarily, and then you start to come up short, and you're like, God, fuck, what is it? There's this other sort of burning desire or voice that requires attention, and that is around, I think, solitude and sort of a slight separation from the busyness of sort of life and work and all the trappings to answer some of those questions. And none of, I haven't come to any sort of finite conclusion, but I find the more I enjoy the mystery of that question and the seeking and the adventure and the path that takes you on, then without an attachment to an outcome, I've found myself a lot happier.
The better off you are.
Yeah, and a lot more at peace with the ebb and flow and things, however rapid that pendulum may be swinging,
Yeah. I want to know. That's the thing. Sometimes I just want to I want to know, and I want to know now, and I want to know like sometimes for my own safety. It's like, because I don't want to be in limbo, but I think having that space of like, of embracing the I don't know right now.
Yeah.
And that's okay, and that is what is going on.
Yeah.
And let me enjoy this somehow.
And living in the questions, not the answers, there's sort of, I think that there's a danger in definitives. There's a sort of almost a lack of humility in that too, and this is where all of our sort of problems arise, is my voice is correct and yours is incorrect, and mine versus yours, but allowing there to be mystery, questions, curiosity, and I think then there's an abundance of opportunity to learn. The new things start to come your way. Whereas as soon as I kind of go, I've got it, I've figured it out, and I put it in a box, or myself or other people or scenarios, the world just obliterates that immediately, and then you're left with that disappointment, and it's that expectation that I'm going to figure it out. I think that the trapping, and so but takes real courage and bravery in the surrendering to that, and the willingness just to go, wow, this sort of universal kind of cosmic dance, or this adventure we're on, is supposed to be fun, and the sort of the most serious thing you can do is not take it serious, and I find myself the polarity of things, coming back to this all the time, going, okay, but what does that mean? And then there's that brief sort of moment of stillness of, I don't know. And it's just being okay with the I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. So a lot of times, like when it comes to like feeling just kind of in the world and in between spaces and uncertain, it's almost like, you know, when you're a kid and you run and you want to get your foot on the base.
Yeah.
It's like, that's how I want I want to have my foot on a base. I want to have something that feels like it's certain, or at least like it's certain for like, as a kid waiting on, for like, I just want to know that's where I have to be, as opposed to being like, I'm going to stand here while the third baseman and the shortstop throw the ball back and forth. And I'm going to be the guy in the middle, and I'm going to enjoy that. Because the truth is, as a viewer, and I'm just using like baseball analogy, the best part of the viewing is you start to smile when that guy is in between the second and third baseman, and they're throwing the ball, and you're like, how's this going to go? Yeah,
for sure.
That's really where the most joy kind of is.
That's the anticipation, the mystery, the sort of immersion in the adventure. And it's like, you know, that's why we pick up books and we want to flick to the end. We want to know what the end is. And same with life. And then you get to the end and you're like, oh geez, actually it was all the tropey things you've heard before, that, you know, the journey, not the destination, so on. And I think that, and I wrestle with that all the time. But I've gotten better with understanding that I might have a handle on it today and I won't tomorrow. And that's okay, you know, as opposed to kind of just needing that definitive, like, what is it about? But I mean, if we knew, if there was, you know, the reason we, you know, the sort of understanding of our own mortality is what allows us to appreciate and love things, you know, without a sort of conclusion at some point and an end to it. There wouldn't be. We wouldn't even know we wouldn't appreciate anything.
Right. What would life be then?
Yeah, you don't know love without loss, and you don't know. And so, yet we spend so much time trying to either figure out the answer or avoid suffering. Yet, you know, the joy and the love and the loss, and so is one and the same thing. And without this, you know, and
dang, dude.
But it's kind of I do riddles with myself around it, and I don't know about you, but I was a kid at night time that would kind of be sitting there going, what does the end of life look like? And if it's just blackness, if it's nothing, can I still think in the nothing? Or is it like nothing? Am I, you know, that's sort of.
Yeah, do I have any toys in the nothing?
Am I allowed to like talk to someone still? Or is it just like,
snacks?
It's just black?
Yeah. Is there a Lunchable? You know, like, like tell me that the nothing has Lunchables, dude.
Tell me this,
Dude,
music.
That's crazy, bro. I'm realizing that you're like a smart guy stuck in a good-looking guy. You're not like a good-looking guy that's just like, you know. Sorry, and that's a judgment, dude.
Thanks.
But
you know,
sorry. That was just like a judgment.
No, I had a lot of questions.